So we've been receiving a lot of Dune footage and images lately. Some of you have been asking for an analysis. So I thought I'd go over them quickly and tell you about some of the hidden meanings behind them. Please don't forget to give me a like rating. It helps YouTube's algorithms find my videos and shares them with more people, and it's one easy way to help the Dune community grow. If you like these videos, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and click the bell so that you can be first to be notified of new videos. Now that is out of the way, let's get straight into this episode.
Face your fears. This is only the beginning.
So in the Japanese trailer we get a shot of Paul with his mouth open, seemingly dazed and confused, and this is the part where he's actually in a spice trance. He's hit by the spice, a huge dust cloud of spice in the harvester scene, and this is what we saw in the IMAX preview. This is when he begins to hear sounds and he's eventually saved by Gurney Halleck, and then they run to safety. We feel the huge scale of the highliners above Arrakis, and out of the highliner comes these small ships, and I believe they are Sardaukar ships. This is when they are going to attack. We see more shots of the Reverend Mother arriving on Caladan. We get a shot of Paul looking up at the sky, and this is Paul looking at the Herald of the Change arriving on Caladan. And here we see more of the Guild in their suits with their helmets filled with spice. Here we see a full army of Harkonnen troops. Then we can see a Harkonnen ship with phosphorus missiles raining terror down upon the Arrakis ground, and an ornithopter in the sky with a searchlight. We can see another ship that reminds me of the Watchmen, but the ship is arriving on Gadi Prime. And we get our first look at the whole planet. In the Norwegian promo trailers, we get a few interesting scenes. Now this part may contain spoilers, so if you do not wish to be spoiled, please watch another video of mine. In this shot, Liet Kynes is on the ground and someone can be seen approaching her with a sword. This sword is a Sardaukar sword, and this is most likely the scene where she does die. Now unlike the book, she was supposed to be a he, and she was supposed to be killed by a spice blow, an eruption of a pre-spice mass. But in Denis Villeneuve's Dune movie, I believe she's going to be stabbed by the Sardaukar before she's killed by a sandworm. In this shot you can see that she is deliberately hitting the ground. Her thumping works because a worm is summoned. The drum sand begins to happen where we see the sand shake, which means that the sandworm is coming. So it seems to me that Liet Kynes is going to commit suicide, essentially. Perhaps she'd rather kill herself than be killed by a Sardaukar soldier. I hope she inevitably does this to save someone else other than committing suicide, because I don't know how I feel about that. But I think it's going to be portrayed in an epic way, and hopefully there'll be a good reason for it. We get to see more of the heartwarming scene between Leto and Paul Atreides, father and son, which I think is going to be a really moving scene. Here we get to see even more of the Spice Harvester, and in the Total Film exclusive we actually see pretty much the full landscape in full quality. This scene happens at the start of the film when Chani is narrating about the outsiders ravaging her land. We get to see the Fremen warriors of Pul Muad'Dib, which is probably from a future vision of his. They are on Caladan, and this matches what I was saying in the Dune trailer 2 breakdown. So I'm glad we actually get to see a scene on the ground now, and this pretty much confirms that they are on Caladan and Paul and Chani are looking at them from an Atreides ship above. You can clearly see the black and green Atreides flags that they are holding as well. We see some scenes of Jason Momoa fighting, and I believe he does a move now that is probably going to become legendary, which is that he's going to hit his knives every time he begins a battle or just before a battle. He will hit his two knives together and get ready to fight like a demon. And this move is like teasing the enemy, egging them on to fight him. It's a move of intimidation, perhaps something Duncan Idaho learned when he trained as a swordmaster of Jinez. And here you can see Duncan penetrating the shield and landing a blow, which is why the shield turns red on his Sardaukar victim. We also got to see some images from the Art and Soul of Dune book by Tanya Lapointe. We see some older concept art of Castle Caladan, and in the background we can see a Bene Gesserit ship on the landing pad. Then we see the final concept art of Castle Caladan that was used in the film. And the grounds of Castle Caladan are much more foresty and green. Again with the octagon and the 8 points, a similar theme to the Dune logo itself in the background, linked to the Islamic geometric star. And even in the Atreides training room concept art, we can see that it is clearly inspired by Islamic Spain with the alcove, similar to the Alhambra in Granada. We can also see designs of old style swords on the walls. In this scene we can see an Atreides ship emerging from the Sea of Caladan, which is how they protect their fleet as described in the Art and Soul of Dune by Tanya Lapointe, with concept art by George Hull. Massive angular flagships emerge from the ocean in preparation for the voyage to Arrakis. The Atreides preserve their fleets underwater, explains Denis. Gigantic old, battered and rusted ships slowly rise from the water, bringing troops, weapons and everything they need to start a new life on Arrakis. In the earlier concept art, George explains, I explored a vertical themed ship that illuminates the ocean water before the reveal as it breaks the water surface. And this is the same scene that we saw in the behind the scenes footage of Timothée Chalamet playing Paul Atreides looking out into the distance, but we didn't know what he was looking out at, but now we do. In the character promo for Paita, we see an example of mentat computation where the eyes roll back as they process information. And this scene with Dave Bautista as Raban saying to the Baron that nothing survives. The continuation of that phrase would be the storm. Nothing survives the storm, as in the Coriolis storm, which Jessica and Paul fly into. We see missiles hit an ornithopter, which reveals that they are also shielded with Holtzman shields to protect them, and that's why it lights up blue and red. This missile that aims at destroying an ornithopter in mid-air seems to be protected by a Holtzman shield as well, covered in blue light. The ornithopter seems to be firing at Harkonnen ships itself before being hit. The music accompanying the Paita trailer is also really interesting.
The desert takes the wing.
It almost sounds like the choir are singing numbers, almost like a mentat computation, which fits in with the mentat computation theme. And it's so incredibly Hans Zimmer. It's very experimental. It's the kind of thing that he's been doing quite recently as well, putting out these experimental tracks. It reminds me of a more extreme version of his Angels and Demons soundtrack. In the center is the Herald of the Change, and to his right is a Bene Gesserit's sister, and she's there to oversee the Herald of the Change, played by Soad Faris, who also starred in Game of Thrones. We can see an example of a shield wall in Arrakeen, with Paul Atreides played by Timothée Chalamet. In the Argentinian teaser, the Harkonnen harvesters look like ticks, moving their side legs one ahead of the other to move forward. Now we've heard of walking without rhythm, but how about fighting without rhythm? It seems that Paul's movements here reflects this. Perhaps in fighting this way, he's simply avoiding an attack, but he also may be avoiding attracting the worm. Here we can see the Reverend Mother Mohaim, almost dressed like a Coptic priest, or reflecting the look of the old Jewish rabbis, while also veiled, so it invokes a lot of religious iconography. Here we can see the Sardaukar with a lasgun for the first time. As some of you may have seen me mention before, the lasguns are huge, and this white lasgun almost looks like a machine gun size. We can also see the Sardaukar with bloodied swords. So that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for watching. If you like these videos, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and click the bell so that you can be first to be notified of new videos. Clicking that bell is important, and giving that like rating really helps my channel to grow. Thanks to my subscribers, my Patreons and my channel members for your support. And until next time, see you soon.